Welcome to my channel HD Rare Coins 111, the place where history meets treasure. Here, every coin tells a story, from the oldest United States classics that shaped our past to the newest rare discoveries that amaze collectors today. If you love the thrill of uncovering hidden value, exploring the beauty of design, and learning the secrets behind coins worth fortunes, then you're in the right place. Join us as we dive deep into the world of rare U.S. coins, both old and new, and reveal the fascinating details that make them priceless. Top 1. The Washington Quarter is one of the most recognized coins in American history, but few people realize that certain years contain hidden gems worth a fortune. Among these, the 1965 Washington Quarter has become one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting. The year 1965 marked a turning point in United States coinage. For decades, dimes, quarters, and half dollars had been struck in 90% silver. However, rising silver prices in the early 1960s made it too expensive for the government to continue. Something had to change. In response, the U.S. Mint removed silver from circulating dimes and quarters, replacing it with a copper-nickel-clad composition. The 1965 quarter was the very first year of this transition, making it a landmark issue in the nation's monetary history. This decision was controversial at the time. Many Americans were used to the heavy, shiny silver coins, and the new clad coins looked duller and felt different in the hand. People quickly began hoarding the old silver quarters, which only increased the rarity of high-quality 1965 pieces. Because of this historic transition, the 1965 quarter has always held special interest for collectors. While hundreds of millions were minted, certain examples are anything but ordinary. Some carry mistakes, unique conditions, or qualities that set them apart. The most famous rarity among the 1965 quarters is the error known as the silver planchet strike. During the transition, a few leftover silver planchets from 1964 accidentally made their way into the presses in 1965. These coins look like ordinary quarters but are struck in 90% silver. Finding one of these silver 1965 quarters is like discovering buried treasure. They are worth thousands of dollars because they represent a mistake during one of the most important transitions in modern coinage. But rarity doesn't stop there. Condition also plays a major role in the value of the 1965 Washington Quarter. Most coins from this year were heavily circulated, tossed into vending machines, laundromats, and grocery store registers. Very few were set aside in pristine condition. As a result, high-grade 1965 quarters with sharp details, blazing luster, and minimal marks are extremely difficult to find. Collectors prize these gems, and they can bring impressive sums at auction. The design of the quarter itself also adds to its appeal. John Flanagan's portrait of George Washington had already been in use since 1932, and by 1965 it was a beloved symbol of stability. On the reverse, the heraldic eagle stood proudly, wings spread, a classic image of American strength. Because so many circulated, the vast majority of 1965 quarters show heavy wear. Washington's hair details are flattened, and the eagle's feathers are smooth. That's why collectors get so excited when a coin surfaces with crisp, sharp lines and brilliant mint luster. Another fascinating detail about the 1965 quarter is that no mint marks were used from 1965 to 1967. This was done to discourage hoarding during the coin shortage of the 1960s. As a result, every 1965 quarter looks the same at first glance, regardless of which mint produced it. This lack of mint marks makes the year even more mysterious. Collectors cannot simply look at the letter on the coin to learn where it came from. Instead, they must study the strike characteristics and other subtle features to gain insight. Over the decades, the 1965 quarter has gained a reputation as a sleeper coin. While casual collectors may overlook it, those who dig deeper know that it holds enormous potential in the right condition or with the right error. Stories abound of collectors who found rare 1965 silver quarters in pocket change. Imagine the thrill of discovering a coin that looks like any other but carries a secret worth thousands. That is the magic of coin collecting. The transition of 1965 also marked the beginning of America's modern coinage era. The copper-nickel-clad coins introduced that year remain the standard today, making the 1965 quarter not only historic but also symbolic of change. For serious collectors, owning a rare 1965 quarter is like holding a piece of that turning point in American history. It is a reminder of how small changes in coinage reflect larger changes in the nation's economy and culture. Beyond silver errors and high grades, there are also fascinating varieties to look for. Some 1965 quarters show doubled dies, with doubling visible in the lettering or design details. Others have striking mishaps that give them unique character. These varieties are like fingerprints of the minting process, small imperfections that transform an ordinary coin into something unique. Collectors love them because no two are exactly alike. When these rare varieties or high-grade coins appear at major auctions, they generate excitement and competition. Collectors know how hard it is to find a 1965 quarter in exceptional condition, and they are willing to pay extraordinary amounts to own one. It is remarkable that a coin most people see as pocket change can, in rare cases, be worth as much as a luxury car or even a house. That contrast between face value and true value is part of what makes this hobby so addictive. For beginner collectors, the 1965 quarter is an excellent reminder to look carefully at every coin. Hidden treasures do not always come from rare dates. Sometimes they come from common years with uncommon details. Experienced collectors, meanwhile, understand the role that condition rarity plays. They know that the finest 1965 quarters are few and far between, and they recognize the prestige of owning one. The story of the 1965 Washington quarter is about more than money. It is about history, change, and discovery. It represents a shift in American coinage and a challenge to those who seek perfection. As the years go by, the surviving gems from 1965 will only become more treasured. They will stand as symbols of a transformative era and as rewards for those who appreciate the details of numismatics. Even if you never find a silver error or a high-grade example, holding a 1965 quarter in your hand is like holding a piece of that history. It carries the weight of its time, connecting the past to the present. And for those fortunate enough to discover the rarest and most exceptional examples of the 1965 Washington quarter dollar, the value can reach $186,000. Top 2. The Washington quarter has long been a staple of American coinage, and by 1981, it had already served nearly 5 decades in circulation. While the average person may think of it as nothing more than a piece of everyday change, collectors know that certain 1981 quarters can hold stories of rarity, beauty, and even significant value. The 1981 quarter emerged during a time when the nation was facing both economic challenges and cultural shifts. The early 1980s were marked by inflation, changing technology, and in America adapting to a new decade. Coins minted during this time became everyday tools for commerce but also subtle symbols of their era.in design. The 1981 quarter retained the familiar look that had first appeared in 1932. John Flanagan's portrait of George Washington still graced the obverse, a strong and enduring image of leadership. The reverse displayed the proud heraldic eagle, wings spread with arrows and olive branches, symbolizing both strength and peace. By this time, the coin was no longer made of silver. Since 1965, Washington quarters had been struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition, consisting of an outer layer of nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. While the silver shine of earlier decades was gone, the new coins were more durable and better suited to mass circulation. The Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint all struck quarters in 1981. Philadelphia coins bore no mint mark, Denver coins displayed a D, and San Francisco coins carried an S mark, often in proof form intended for collectors. Philadelphia and Denver produced hundreds of millions of circulating quarters, meaning the 1981 issue is generally common. However, not every coin was struck with equal care, and finding a perfect example is far harder than the mintage numbers suggest. Proof coins from San Francisco, while more carefully made, were struck primarily for collectors. Many were preserved in pristine condition, but errors and varieties even among proofs make them desirable in their own right. For coin collectors, condition is everything. The 1981 quarter is no exception. Most circulated heavily, passing through hands, machines, and registers countless times. The result is wear and tear, flattening Washington's hair details and softening the eagle's feathers. Uncirculated examples with brilliant luster and sharp details are scarce. To find one graded at the highest levels by professional grading services is a real challenge. These few survivors are what drive collector excitement and high auction prices. Full strike details are particularly rare. Collectors carefully examine the hair above Washington's ear, the eagle's wing feathers, and the clarity of the lettering. Coins with bold, crisp features are celebrated because they are so hard to find. Errors from the 1981 mintage also fuel collector passion. Off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planchets, and even doubled dies have been discovered on quarters from this year. Each error tells a story of a minting mishap that slipped through unnoticed at the time. Among these, doubled dies are especially captivating. The date or lettering may appear doubled, giving the coin a dramatic and unmistakable appearance. Such coins are rare and command premium values. Another aspect that adds intrigue to the 1981 quarter is its role in proof set production. The San Francisco Mint issued millions of proofed coins for collectors, but occasionally, mechanical problems created flawed strikes. Cameo and deep cameo contrasts, where frosted designs appear against mirrored fields, are especially prized. Over the years, collectors have come to realize that even modern quarters like the 1981 issue can hold tremendous value under the right circumstances. It all comes down to condition rarity, era varieties, and the eye appeal of each coin. The 1981 quarter also connects us to its era. These coins circulated during a time when Americans were using payphones, arcade machines, and vending machines daily. Quarters were essential in everyday life, and millions were spent without a second thought. To think that one of those very same coins, overlooked in 1981, could now be worth thousands of dollars is astonishing. It reminds us that history often hides in plain sight. Auction results for high-grade 1981 quarters tell this story vividly. Collectors bid fiercely for the finest known examples, often pushing prices to levels that surprise even seasoned numismatists. The competition reflects both the rarity of perfection and the love of the Washington Quarter series. This desire for completion is another driving force. Many collectors aim to build complete sets of Washington quarters, including high-grade or proof issues from every year. The 1981 issue, though not scarce in raw numbers, becomes a challenge when only the very finest examples will do. Even roll searching today can be rewarding. While most rolls are filled with circulated, common examples, the chance of discovering a gem or an error keeps collectors motivated. That thrill of discovery is one of the joys of the hobby. The lack of silver in the 1981 quarter does not lessen its importance. Instead, it reflects the changing reality of American coinage, where practicality outweighed tradition. Yet even in a copper-nickel form, the Washington quarter continued to embody the nation's values and heritage. Looking closely at these coins teaches patience and attention to detail. It encourages collectors to see beyond the ordinary, to recognize beauty in what most people overlook. The 1981 quarter stands as a reminder that every coin has a story. Whether it was struck for everyday use or preserved as a proof for collectors, each piece connects us to the people and events of its time. The thrill of coin collecting lies in these discoveries. It transforms the simple act of examining a coin into a journey through history, art, and chance. The 1981 quarter exemplifies this perfectly. As years pass, the finest examples only grow rarer. Time takes its toll, and the pool of uncirculated or pristine coins dwindles. Those that remain untouched are treasures waiting to be celebrated. In the world of numismatics, value comes not just from rarity but from the story each coin tells. The 1981 Washington quarter carries with it the tale of an America in the early 1980s, of change, resilience, and continuity. And for the collector who is fortunate enough to own the rarest, most exceptional examples of the 1981 Washington quarter dollar, the value can reach $115,000. Top 3. The Washington quarter is one of the most familiar coins in America, and by 1985, it had already been in circulation for more than 50 years. Millions of people use these coins daily without a second thought. But collectors know that the 1985 quarter hides stories of rarity, value, and historical significance. The year 1985 was a unique moment in American life. It was the middle of the decade of bold fashion, rising technology, and cultural change. From cassette tapes and payphones to the rise of personal computers, the quarter played its role as the coin of everyday use in this exciting time. Designed originally by John Flanagan in 1932, the Washington quarter was meant to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. By 1985, the design had become a timeless classic, still showing Washington's noble profile on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. Though the design remained familiar, the materials were no longer the same as in earlier years. Since 1965, the mint had abandoned silver in circulating quarters, replacing it with a copper-nickel-clad composition. This gave the coin strength and durability, but also made it less glamorous than its silver predecessors. 3 different mints produced the 1985 quarter: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark, Denver coins were marked with a small D, and San Francisco coins bore the S mint mark, primarily in proof format for collectors. Hundreds of millions of quarters rolled off the presses that year. At first glance, this might suggest that the 1985 quarter is common and unremarkable. But the truth is that hidden within these massive numbers are rare examples that have become true treasures. Condition is the first key to rarity. Most 1985 quarters circulated heavily, rattling around in pockets, vending machines, and cash registers. This left them worn and scratched, stripping away the fine details of Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. High-grade examples, however, tell a different story. A coin with sharp details, full luster, and virtually no marks is a rarity for this year. Collectors spend years searching for such pristine pieces, and when they surface, they command attention at auctions. Proof coins from San Francisco are another highlight of 1985. Struck with polished dies and special care, these coins feature mirrored fields and frosted designs. Collectors prize cameo and deep cameo proof quarters from this year, especially when they are perfectly preserved. Errors add even more intrigue to the 1985 quarter. Minting mistakes such as double strikes, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets have been documented. These coins stand out immediately, and collectors pay large sums to add them to their holdings. One of the most dramatic errors found on 1985 quarters are doubled die varieties. When visible, the doubling gives the coin a unique and unmistakable character. These varieties are scarce, making them favorites among numismatists. Even small striking flaws can transform a 1985 quarter into something extraordinary. Coins with unusual toning, sharp cameo contrast, or strong strikes are all highly desirable. In coin collecting, the smallest details can create the biggest differences. The 1985 quarter also has a cultural significance that makes it even more interesting. These coins circulated during a time of arcade machines, payphones, and jukeboxes, where a quarter held real power. It was the coin of entertainment, communication, and everyday commerce. Holding a 1985 quarter today can bring back memories of that time, whether it was dropping coins into a Pac-Man arcade cabinet or making a phone call for just 25 cents. These cultural connections add charm and nostalgia to the coin. For collectors, the challenge of finding the perfect 1985 quarter is part of the fun. Despite its common appearance, the scarcity of high-quality pieces means that each discovery feels like a triumph. Auction records have shown how valuable these coins can become. When a top-grade 1985 quarter crosses the block, collectors eagerly compete, driving prices higher and higher. It is a clear example of how condition rarity makes all the difference. The proof coins from San Francisco also carry their own excitement. In pristine condition with deep cameo contrast, they sparkle like miniature works of art. Collectors who specialize in proof coins know how challenging it can be to find flawless examples. The Denver Mint coins, meanwhile, sometimes show stronger strikes, making them more desirable in certain grades. Philadelphia coins are often weaker in detail, which adds to the rarity of finding sharply struck examples. The story of the 1985 quarter teaches collectors to never underestimate modern coins. While older silver quarters naturally attract attention, modern clad coins can also achieve remarkable values when preserved in top condition. This lesson inspires collectors to look carefully at every coin, no matter how ordinary it may seem. That jar of change on a dresser or that roll of quarters from the bank could contain a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. The Washington quarter itself is a symbol of continuity. From its debut in 1932 to the mid-1980s, it represented stability, tradition, and national pride. The 1985 issue carried forward that legacy while also reflecting the culture of its own decade. Collectors often say that coins are history in your hand, and the 1985 quarter is proof of that idea. It tells the story of its time, not just through its design but through its role in everyday American life. Over the years, appreciation for high-grade 1985 quarters has only grown. As more collectors build complete sets, the demand for this date in pristine condition increases, and prices continue to rise. The fact that such an ordinary coin can become so valuable is what makes coin collecting magical. It transforms pocket change into treasure, giving meaning and excitement to something most people overlook. As time goes on, the number of untouched 1985 quarters shrinks. Those that remain are cherished as survivors of their era, embodying the best of what numismatics has to offer. The 1985 Washington quarter may not be silver, but it is golden in its ability to surprise and inspire collectors. It is proof that every coin has the potential to tell a story and reveal unexpected value. And for the rarest and most exceptional examples of the 1985 Washington quarter dollar, the value has reached an astounding $96,000. Top 4. The Washington quarter has long been a cornerstone of American coinage, and by 1988, it had already been a familiar sight in the hands of the American people for over 5 decades. Though most people see it simply as a 25-cent piece, coin collectors know the 1988 quarter has secrets worth uncovering. The year 1988 was full of cultural milestones in the United States. From booming technology to the rise of popular music and television, the quarter was an everyday participant in the country's changing lifestyle. Every time it passed through a vending machine or paid for an arcade game, it became part of history. John Flanagan's original 1932 design still graced the coin. On the obverse, George Washington's profile symbolized leadership and continuity. On the reverse, the proud eagle spread its wings over arrows and an olive branch, a reminder of America's strength balanced with peace. Unlike quarters of earlier decades, the 1988 issue was struck in copper nickel clad, with a copper core sandwiched between 2 layers of nickel. This gave the coin durability but removed the precious silver content that earlier quarters carried. 3 different mints contributed to the 1988 mintage. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins with no mint mark, the Denver Mint marked its coins with a small D, and the San Francisco Mint issued proof quarters with an S mark, intended for collectors. In total, hundreds of millions of 1988 quarters were produced. At first glance, this makes them appear common, but collectors know the truth is more complicated. Within those millions, only a few have the quality, rarity, or error features that transform them into treasures. Circulation took a heavy toll on most of the 1988 quarters. They were passed from hand to hand, worn down in vending machines, and used for phone calls and payphones. The majority now show scratches, dullness, and flattened details. Finding a pristine 1988 quarter with sharp details and blazing luster is a real challenge. Collectors prize these gems because they are survivors of mass circulation, preserved against all odds. The Philadelphia coins are known for softer strikes, where details like Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers are less crisp. Denver coins sometimes show stronger details, making them more appealing in higher grades. San Francisco proof coins stand apart. Struck with polished dies and care, they feature mirror-like fields and frosted designs. Cameo and deep cameo examples are especially desirable, glowing with visual contrast that ordinary coins lack. Errors from the 1988 quarter add an extra layer of excitement. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, and clipped planchets are known from this year. Each era coin is unique, making it a rare prize for collectors who love the unusual. Doubled die varieties are also highly collectible. In some cases, the doubling can be seen in the lettering or numbers, creating a striking visual effect that adds to a coin's rarity and value. These rare varieties are what make collectors look twice at even the most ordinary-looking coins. The thrill of discovery drives the hunt, as even pocket change can hold something extraordinary. Auction houses have seen fierce competition when high-grade 1988 quarters or dramatic errors are offered. Collectors know how rare perfection is for this date, and they bid aggressively to secure the finest examples. For most people in 1988, the quarter was simply a tool. It paid for parking meters, arcade games, and jukebox songs. But for collectors today, those same coins carry nostalgia, history, and the potential for hidden value. It is fascinating to think that a coin once used to play Pac-Man or call home from a payphone could now be worth thousands. That leap in value makes the hobby of coin collecting so compelling. Condition rarity is the greatest driver of value. While nearly anyone can find a circulated 1988 quarter, finding one in mint state with no flaws is another matter entirely. Those are the coins that achieve remarkable prices. The San Francisco proof coins also have their own special story. Many were preserved carefully in sets, but the very finest examples with perfect cameo contrast are incredibly scarce. Collectors treasure them for their beauty and technical precision. The Washington Quarter series itself has always been beloved for its blend of artistry and history. By 1988, it was a familiar friend, but still carried the potential for surprise in the form of rare and valuable survivors. Collectors who build complete sets of Washington quarters know the difficulty of finding certain years in perfect condition. The 1988 issue, while common in circulation, becomes a challenge at the top grading levels. Rolls searching is another way collectors look for treasures. Even today, some carefully search through rolls of 1,988 quarters from banks in hopes of uncovering a high-grade coin or a rare error. The dream of discovery keeps the hunt alive. What makes the 1988 quarter special is not only its potential value, but also its connection to the culture of its time. It circulated in an America full of cassette tapes, VHS rentals, and arcade halls, a different world than today. Every time you hold a 1988 quarter, you hold a piece of that era. It is more than money. It is a small artifact of everyday life from over 3 decades ago. Over the years, appreciation for modern-clad quarters like the 1988 issue has grown. Collectors have realized that rarity is not only about age, but about condition, survival, and uniqueness. The lesson of the 1988 quarter is clear: never underestimate a coin simply because it looks common. Beneath the surface, there may be hidden qualities that make it truly special. As time goes on, the pool of untouched 1988 quarters will only shrink. The few that remain pristine will continue to rise in value, cherished as examples of what perfection can mean in modern numismatics. And for the rarest and most exceptional examples of the 1988 Washington quarter dollar, the value has reached an astounding $80,000. Top 5. The Washington quarter has been a familiar part of American life for generations, but some years stand out more than others, and one of those intriguing years is 1996. At first glance, this quarter may seem like an ordinary coin, but when you look deeper, its story becomes much more fascinating. The design of the Washington quarter in 1996 continued the same proud tradition that began in 1932. The obverse features George Washington's profile, originally created by John Flanagan, reminding us of the nation's first president and his lasting influence. On the reverse, the heraldic eagle with spread wings stands tall, clutching arrows of defense and an olive branch of peace. This powerful imagery had been the symbol of the Washington quarter for decades and was still in place before the series shifted into the state quarters program a few years later. The year 1996 is particularly special because it marked the 65th anniversary of the Washington quarter series. By then, the coin had already cemented its place in American pockets, wallets, and collections, but it was also on the edge of a transformation that would come in 1999. Millions of quarters were minted in 1996, with production carried out at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Additionally, the The San Francisco Mint produced proof versions, which were made specifically for collectors with a mirror-like finish and frosted designs. The Philadelphia quarters bear no mint mark, while Denver quarters carry the D mint mark, and San Francisco proofs proudly feature the S. For collectors, each version tells a slightly different story and carries different levels of rarity. Although the mintage numbers were high, the condition of the coins plays a critical role in their desirability today. Circulated examples are common, but pristine, high-grade coins are another matter entirely. Over the years, most 1996 quarters have been worn down through heavy use. From parking meters to laundromats, they were used in daily life without a second thought. The constant wear and tear left most of them dull and lacking sharp details. Collectors, however, search for the survivors, those quarters that were carefully preserved or simply never entered circulation. These coins showcase every detail of Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers with stunning clarity. The San Francisco proof coins are especially striking. Their deep mirror surfaces and frosted designs create an eye-catching cameo contrast that collectors love. Perfect examples graded at the highest levels are considered true treasures. But the 1996 quarter also has another side that excites collectors: errors and varieties. Error coins are always fascinating because they are the result of mistakes during the minting process, making them unique and rare. Some known errors for the 1996 quarter include off-center strikes, broad strikes, and clipped planchets. Each of these minting mishaps creates a coin unlike any other, and collectors pay strong premiums for them. Doubled die varieties can also be found, where the design elements appear doubled due to a misalignment during die creation. These varieties are especially sought after, as they provide visible differences from standard coins. Finding one of these rare errors in a pocket-change 1996 quarter is the dream of every collector. It shows that even modern coins can hide extraordinary surprises. Auction records reveal that high-grade 1996 quarters or rare error coins can command significant prices. Collectors recognize how few perfect examples exist and are willing to compete fiercely to obtain them. Beyond their monetary value, 1996 quarters carry nostalgia for the 1990s. They were used in payphones, arcade games, and vending machines at a time before smartphones took over everyday life. Each coin is a small reminder of a different era. The Washington quarter in 1996 is not just about history, it is about transition. Within just a few years, the series would completely change with the launch of the 50-state quarters program in 1999, which brought renewed excitement to U.S. coinage. That makes the 1996 issue one of the last in a long, uninterrupted line of Washington quarters bearing the eagle reverse design. Collectors today view it as part of the closing chapter of that classic design. Because of this, the 1996 quarter has become a coin worth paying attention to, even though it might seem common on the surface. It marks the end of one era and the beginning of another. Condition rarity is what separates the valuable 1996 quarters from the ordinary ones. Coins with perfect luster, flawless surfaces, and sharp details stand out dramatically compared to their worn-down counterparts. The proof versions from San Francisco also highlight the artistry and precision of modern minting. Their mirror-like fields and sharp cameo contrasts turn a simple quarter into a miniature work of art. Roll searching remains a popular way for collectors to hunt for valuable 1996 quarters. Although most rolls contain only worn examples, the possibility of finding a gem keeps the excitement alive. The thrill of discovery is what drives the coin hobby forward. A collector never knows when they might stumble upon a rare 1996 error, a doubled die, or a high-grade survivor hidden in ordinary circulation. As time passes, fewer pristine 1996 quarters remain. Coins naturally wear down, get lost, or are damaged, leaving only a select few in top condition. Those are the coins that will continue to rise in value. The Washington quarter of 1996 is proof that not all valuable coins are centuries old. Even modern coins from the 1990s can be worth a small fortune under the right conditions. It is a reminder that every coin has a story, and sometimes the most ordinary-looking pieces turn out to be the most extraordinary. Collectors know this well, and that's why the 1996 quarter continues to hold their interest. So the next time you come across a 1996 quarter in your change, take a closer look. Examine its condition, check for unusual features, and you just might be holding a hidden treasure. Because in the world of coin collecting, appearances can be deceiving, and what looks like 25 cents today could be something far more valuable tomorrow. And for the most remarkable examples of the 1996 Washington quarter dollar, the value has reached an astounding $55,000.